All right. Yes. Exciting times. We got an interview of the evening popping right now, yo, and it's a classic one that I could say that we are going to be putting in the vault today. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
What can I say? Like,
veteran of the game.
Like, understatement. I feel like.
Yeah.
You know what it is for me when I was living in Montreal back in the days, and we were watching like Toronto from the outside. We're like, yo. That place has fucking got stars. And I was watching On with the show.
Oh, them time there, okay.
Yeah.
See.
And that's the impression that we got, like, them times.
Word.
Oh, shit, Toronto's got stars.
Funny thing is, them times I used to have a girlfriend in Montreal, so I was back and forth them times. I spent plenty time in Montreal.
Yeah, man. Montreal was showing love from time. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then I started seeing other shit like BT and all these different things. So I feel like we could safely say that you are the biggest or are the biggest Toronto artist, like besides the obvious everybody knows Drake type of thing, right? Anytime you hear people mention artists coming from Canada, they can't get through a long list when I'm talking about other media. Okay? But they're always gonna say Kardinal Offishall. Even if they fuck up your name and say Kardinal Offishall.
Yo, rude boy, at this point in time, I just take it on like it's almost like an AKA at this point in time. I just, yeah. As long as they say the name sometimes, you know them ones there?
Some type of mention.
Yeah.
So, with no further ado, we have Kardinal Offishall in the motherfucking building.
Here, yo. I'm here.
Yo,
respect for having me, yo.
Yes, respect for coming through.
For sure.
Yeah. You never correct them when they fuck up the name. Why is that?
Yeah. Yo, Richard, let me show you something. My name has been slaughtered so many different ways a man's would not believe around the world. Like Ireland, like, yo, I remember I was called everything from Carnival Official. Yo, the worst butchering of my name ever. We were in Memphis, and I was performing. This is like when Bacardi slang, old time killing times.
Okay.
In the street, throwing that slang each and every single time we meet.
And we performed at this club called Denim and Diamonds. Mad club, like massive club, 2,000, 3,000 people or whatever. Crazy time. And it was funny. I remember we were leaving the club. And what's crazy about this club, I never seen nothing like this in my life. Like, I was like, yo, this could never happen in Toronto. As the club was finished, them police was out there like, all right, everybody out. And yo, the parking lot was empty like 5 minutes. Like, by the time, like, we were Toronto shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, we were chilling, whatever.
Lyman.
Ray. Yo, by the time we got in the whip, we looked around, we said, raw. Like, the whole thing.
Gone.
And the promoter was like, yeah, the police, they don't, you know what I mean? They don't play that. So anyway, I remember we went to Denny's, and after the club thing, went to Denny's, bought some food or whatever, and then we're driving back to the hotel, and I seen the mutes that have the what they call the dunks, the cars with the big dirty wheels, them. You know what I mean? Like the ones with the big dirty wheels, the dunks.
Yeah.
And there was a man that said, he's like, yo, roll down the window. So we were like, it was a little sus, but we rolled down the window, and he said to his friend, yo, I told you, that's my nigga right there, Catfish Lyrics, that's my nigga right there. I said, oh God, I said, Catfish Lyrics. Wow. I said, hey man. However, he's like, yo, you the nigga in the big body yellow Hummer. I said, yeah, because from the Bacardi Side video. He's like, I told my nigga, that's my nigga Catfish lyrics. I said, raw. So trust me, my name has been slaughtered.
I think that's the worst one I've heard.
Internationally.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
But you know what? At the same time, like, it was love though, because I tell people all the time, here's what I say to mans all the time, right? And I don't want to really go into it because it's a whole other thing, but like, when people talk about like Toronto scene, Toronto rappers, right. To me, only because like it's funny like how J. Cole have that middle child tune. I really feel like a real middle child sometimes. Okay. Because it's like in between the like kind of like the eras of like if you want to say like Hove and like compared to now times like the Drake and the Coles them. Like I'm right in the middle, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm a little bit younger than Hove them man there, but a little bit older than those guys. So I kind of like the way that I see things is to where I understand the cloth and the era of where it came from, you know what I'm saying? And I was lucky enough to be of a certain age where I just was able to like do shows with some of the bigger mans, them Outkast and Jay and this, that, or whatever, you know what I mean? Beastie Boys, like, you know what I mean? Like just managed to squeeze into that little era, but then also at the same time still find myself doing shows, you know what I'm saying, with the youths them that are coming up now.
I take Madison over Maxine and them. Sweet boy business, nah, she ain't feeling them. Never worked a day in their life, nigga, she screening them. Waste niggas feeling she.
It's dope because for me, I get to understand kind of like
both sides.
Like these man them over there, they don't understand
the new guys,
you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the people that I idolize and they're still icons to me, but it's like those guys don't fully understand Wagwan over here. And you'll see that with a lot of like the people, they still have amazing legendary careers, but then you'll say to a man, yo, like why man's not putting out music or whatever, but it's because it's a different wiring. Because those man them still look at music like, yo, I'm putting out the best of who I am, like I spent X amount of time making this tune. This album's supposed to live however long. Whereas the youths now are like, yo, my youth, just put that out, fam. And when that done, we want the next one in 3 months. You understand?
3 months.
Those man them are not wired like that. You know what I'm saying? So
and only certain people can get away with spacing out projects like
barely
that.
anybody can get away with that anymore.
Nowadays, no way.
No, I don't really know.
Well, Kendrick.
You're right.
Right?
Correct.
Rhapsody. You know what I'm saying? She just dropped her shit and it was like, it took a while, but it's like, you could count on your one hand how many people have a fan base who will wait for them that long. Because trust me, like, yo, it's really interesting because I had a talk with Busta the other day. Busta's a late night nigga, yo, like 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like I just happened to wake up to go hold a piss or something. And I just checked my phone, and literally like 5 minutes ago, the man link. I'm like, yo, like, oh God. So I linked it back, yo, everything's all right. Yeah, man, but we just got into a little conversation or whatever. And sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
What is Busta Rhymes' intro when you get on the phone with Busta Rhymes?
It depends, you know. Busta's a different youth. That's my big bro, but it depends. You can always kind of tell the mood that he's in based on how the greeting goes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if you hear, yes, my general, what I want, then you know like Busta's in a super good mood. But if you hear, yo, Cardi, yo, what go on, everything good? Yeah, man, everything good, but you know what I mean. So that's how you know like the mood that he's in. But you know, it's a thing to where, man, like we was just, you know what I mean, just reasoning and stuff, and it's the same thing because I was yelling at him like he played me arguably the best Busta album, but he played it for me last year when he came here with Lauren. When it was, who was it? It was him and Lauryn Hill when they were all on tour. Excuse me. And he played me the album on his tour bus, and I was like, yo, like I couldn't wait. And it's almost been a year and he still hasn't put it out. So you know what I'm saying? So I was cussing him. But that's what it is though. You know what I mean? Like it's funny. Like yes, I know I'm super late, but I just watched the Defiant ones on the plane coming from London. I just watched it, and it's interesting because it's like, you know, even a man like Dre, who people were waiting on the detox. Nobody's not waiting on that no more. But you know what I'm saying? But even the mentality, like if
it comes, okay.
Pretty much.
We might care a little bit, but the youngins don't give a shit.
No. They don't even know that. They probably don't even know he's a rapper, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? The generations, it's interesting because, like I said, like I relate to both sides, and I'm just, to be honest, like when I was sitting a couple nights ago, I was sitting with some of the mans them in a club out in London. I was just like, it's weird for me a little bit because I look around, I don't see nobody from my age category. You understand what I'm saying? There's very few of us that are still in the mix like that.
Still moving around.
Yeah, so it's like I consider myself super blessed, you know what I mean? Because it's like I'm at a club and it's like, you know, Skepta's over there, Burner Boy's over here, you know, Shaka Zulu's here, all these different mans them are just, you know, they're bout and we're just all in the mix. And I'm just like, those are the ones where you go home and you just, you know what I mean? You just say a prayer and count your blessings. You know? Because
like this is the amount of people you're naming right there. That's an awesome crowd to be around.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, and it has nothing to do with those people in particular. I'm not really super interested in the industry, man, them. But at the same time, like, just when you look at things generally, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
To say, like,
these are the places that you're popping up.
These are my quote unquote comrades, like, you know what I'm saying, like the people out there moving the culture, because there's this little misconception I believe right now, and I think it's just part of the technology that they're dealing with the kids now, to where they're telling them a lot of times about, you know, you guys have the power and it's direct to consumer, and it's partially true, but the thing is, behind the scenes there's still people that are pushing the culture and really making things happen. You understand what I'm saying? So in a sense, yes, if you put out something and you say, yo, Cardi, it's up on all the streaming platforms, I can go get it. But the thing that people don't understand is, it's like when the average person just clicks on whatever it is, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever, there's a reason why there's the algorithms and how everything moves, and even just on the page that you land on, the reason why there's certain mans that are up there, like there's people in control of that. You understand what I'm saying?
Before you got here, we were talking about streaming and how the industry is collecting money from streaming. Like, and we're talking like, because the man's saying, certain man is saying, they made $21,000 off of streaming. And it's like, whoa. How much streams, like, you know, and like you said, there's stuff behind it, so you're seeing those type of...
Yeah, man, I mean, all it is, you know what, all it is, and we don't even need to spend too much energy on it, because the funny thing is, all the info is out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't hold any real secrets in terms of that kind of stuff. But, you know, I think what's important to understand is, I remember I was in Atlanta one time and I was coming back home, and I saw, I think it was DJ Vice, and Vice is a man that I knew from years. Like a lot of these guys, when I was coming up, like certain mans were, you know, building up their things as well. So like anybody from, like, you know, Baby Sam, Puerto Rican Rob, Jay Grand, there's so many different people, like, on a level to where, like, we were all nothing, you know what I mean? Just really just trying to make our way and figure it out. And then, you know, this person is, like, you know, VP of this at this label. This person is Ray. But these are all people that I know from, like, you know what I mean, from the street level. Like when I used to go do college radio and that person had their little college show. And now that person is the person that's running this department, or Ray. A lot of these relationships, and I was talking with Vice, and it's funny because even for DJs, like, in this day and age now, people don't understand how important, like, the hand-to-hand, like, shaking a man's hand, shaking a woman's hand, and saying, yo, good to meet you, and actually having that relationship, how that still matters. Because right about now, people still like, yo, send me a text, send me an email, but let me show you something, like, differently. I'm not gonna get to know you guys or bond with you guys or form any type of relationship just with the monotone, generic vibes from a text or
there's
email.
no feeling there.
There's none.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So if the mans them are trying to do a thing and they say, "Raw, Cardi's in this position now. Yo, I wonder if Ray, you understand what I'm saying?" And you guys reach out and I say, "Oh, what are you talking about, my G's? Yo, let's move." You understand? Because there's a real connection, a real vibe. Whereas people sometimes they don't understand. Like, if I get a cold email or a cold link and I'm like, "Yo, I don't know those mans. Those man, yo, man's dissing." I'm not dissing. I don't know you, fam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just the real thing. And it's like human interaction is always gonna be like the thing that trumps all. Doesn't matter who you are.
Preachers, street graduates becoming the teachers, politicians talking they couldn't reach us.
You know, and even going back to the Defiant Ones, that relationship that Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre had, like, there was a part where that stuck with me when he said, like, the corporate people them were like, "Yo, like, Dre's flopping right now, like, you need to cut that guy off, like, drop him, like, get rid of all that Dr. Dre thing."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, we could do that still, but more time you're gonna have to figure out what's going on with me because I'm leaving with that youth."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I rate, like, Jimmy Iovine's a different youth, mind you, because remember, like, during the convict times, I had to sit down with him right before I got my deal.
Yeah, because he was head of Interscope at the time.
Yeah, he's a different youth.
Yeah.
And on levels I don't rate him, but on the loyalty thing, I definitely rate him. And again, that just goes back to, you know what I'm saying, just that personal, real relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because those are two completely separate people coming from two different walks of life.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Them man, they're forming that relation.
That connection.
They have a bond, and people don't understand that a lot of what goes on, not just within hip hop, to be honest, in life in general, but in hip hop also, like a lot of things are relationships, yo.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just breaking bread, like going out to go near my food with a youth, and you sit down, and a man said, "Boy, like I thought this youth was a clown still, but." It's a good youth, man. Like, yo, I'm gonna look out for you. Yo, I have a thing. You know what I mean? And that's just how it works. That's just how it works.
One thing, because you've achieved so much over the years, right? But, you know, we're here in Toronto, right? This is a Toronto-based podcast, right? So you're home.
Yeah.
So you always get that connection where you remember where you came from and stuff like that.
That's why I never moved.
Okay.
That's one of the only reasons why I never moved, because my vibe personally was never generic hip hop. I don't have too many songs where you listen and you could be like, "Oh, well, maybe he's from here," or it's quite specific.
You're a Toronto man.
And it was
I'm from the depths of Scarborough, one ways of Bond Road, apartments in Flemington, shadows in the P.O.
the thing, and it was a thing to where even at the time that I was blessed to have the bread, there was a very short period of time where I lived between here and New York. So I had a brownstone in Brooklyn, and I used to go back and forth. Yeah. But even that, like, I locked that off after like a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, for me, my energy and the vibrations were always a Toronto thing. Like, this is always home. Where, but you know what? Home is interesting. It is home, but the thing is, it's like, I think when you get older, it's a thing to where, big up all the neighborhoods that I lived in, you know what I'm saying, from Oakwood and Vaughan, Flemo, Scarborough, whatever. But when you get older, you also start to realize, like, I think everybody that lived in whatever neighborhood, we lived there for the most part because we had to. These things weren't by choice. Like, just to be honest, like, my parents didn't have the bread, so we were in an apartment in Flemo. And then when they got more bread, then they moved to the condos in Flemo, and then they got some more bread, bought a little house out in Scarborough, and you know what I'm saying. And now that I'm in that position, I understand what it is. Like, you build and you move, and as youths, wherever your friends are, you know what I'm saying, that's where you're defending. Like, I cried when I left Flemo, fam. Like, literal tears. Like, how can I leave Flemo? But I'll be back.
I'll be back.
You know what I'm saying?
Every weekend.
But it's a thing to where, at the end of the day, when they say home is where your heart is, like, when I see my mans them, like, you know, the mans them that I grew up with from Flemo, or mans them from Vaughan or Scarborough or wherever, I started to understand, like, for me anyway, me personally, that it's like, yo, I used to frequent so many different neighborhoods that I realized, like, anywhere where I felt a good vibes and, you know what I mean, like, I felt the love, that was kind of like where home is. And that's why I say, like, Toronto on a whole, because I'll be honest, like, yo, every neighborhood has shown me love. I've done music with people from almost every neighborhood in the city, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, even our crew back in the day, like, you know, Sox was from Scarborough, Julie was from Finch, you know, Marvel was from Alexander Park downtown, I was at Oakwood and Vaughan, like, we were just, you know what I mean? But that part of it didn't really matter, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really about, you know, what bonded us at the time was just the music. All of us, except for Wylock, all of our families were from the Caribbean, so we had Jamaicans, Grenadians, Guyanese, like, that's how that whole Bacardi slang thing came up, you know what I'm saying?
Influences a lot
Trinity, but that's just but that's literally who we were. So it's like when people are trying to dissect my music, it's not really that deep for me, because it's like, if we're gonna talk about a song and I'm gonna talk about who I'm around all the time, like now, you know what I'm saying, like, I'll be talking about, you know, my brethrens, them, my Colombian brethrens, you know what I mean? Now there's a lot more people from the continent, so the Africans, the Caribbean, like, all kind of people, but my music is like, I was just trying to show them, like, who I was at the time.
My nigga, street cats will hustle you. We gotta live positive, or positive action is your prerogative. Clips just barking in the parking while the time gets dark.
Like, when we did Bacardi slang, it's not like I said, like, sat down and tried to mastermind the thing. You know what I mean? Like, literally, you know the vibes. Like, me and Solitaire were on our way to Buffalo, because them times, like, you know, it was waste to shop here. So, like, we took a car, we were going to Buffalo. The man popped in the cassette, and he was playing beats, and we were probably about half hour away, and the Bacardi slang beat came on. I literally put the car in U-turn, headed right back. I said, no, B, this is mad. I said, yo, I need this, Brethren. I need this. And
instant U-turn.
Yeah, man, it was just one of them ones. And I still remember, because I was I remember I called Saul G at the time, and I was telling him about this idea that I had called Bacardi slang or whatever, and he's like, it's like, yo, that's kind of crazy. And I, you know what I mean, to show them the whole rhyme scheme or whatever. And that's how that was born. So that's what I'm saying, is like, them times, like, I grew up, and it's also interesting. Again, who was I? You were talking about Rhapsody earlier. I was watching the Rhapsody interview the other day, yesterday or the day before, and she's talking about Latifah. Like, female MCs, like, I loved a lot of female MCs growing up. Like, I loved Latifah. Her first album, mad to me, one of my favorites. MC Light, hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it was, I don't know. To be honest, I'd have to have a conversation with some of my young G's to see how they feel about the female MCs now. But, like, MC Light, Queen Latifah, Roxanne Shante, like, them people was hard.
Mishi Me.
Well,
Mishi.
Yes.
Question.
Mishi.
Because now that you bring up female MCs, or like, just like that conglomerate from back in the days. I'm watching BT, and I want to know if you remember this, okay? Or if the people even know this. When you did Power on BT's Up Next, or one of these other shows that they had, was that the first, you did Power with Tara Chase and Julie Black. Was that the first appearance ever on BT that you ever did?
No, the first one I ever did was live, you mean?
Yes.
Probably. Because the first appearance was Northern Touch when that premiered on BET.
Ain't nobody can bang with us. Rascals checkmate, Kardinal Offishall.
That was the first thing.
The video. But you guys performing.
Yes, but that was random. That came on TV?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw this.
Okay.
And I was like, holy shit. You guys are on TV performing. You guys are in New York. Holy fuck!
Yo, you know how wild it was. Like, I'll be honest. Like, them times, like when we did 106 in Park, because, you know, most of the time, and I always say people that say they're humble, they're not really humble. But what I try and do is, I'll say I try and practice as much humility as possible.
Yeah.
But niggas was trash on 106 in Park. So I still remember when we went on 106 in Park, my only job was to, they were like, we've never had a performance like this in our life. And they were going crazy. That's when they invited us back quick, I think, to do like the New Year's Eve special or whatever. Because we went there and murdered up the thing. Now it was some years later, but like the point was, like, whenever we had them opportunities, like, that is how we got on. We didn't get on because we had anybody to help us out, or like we didn't beg nobody nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was times like when Sway and King Tech, when we were out there, out in the West Coast, and I remember me, Socrates, and Shocklair standing in a room full of like 30 hungry MCs, and we are the 3 random youths from Canada. So guess what? We had to stand at the end of the line and watch all these mans go and freestyle and murder up everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yo, and I'm just showing, and Sway will tell you, Sway is my man to this day. When me, Socrates, and Shocklair got on, even though we were the last special guests from Canada or whatever, and people is like,
they couldn't even specify Toronto, probably.
No. It wasn't a thing at that time. We were still trying to just.
Is there eagles up there?
Yeah, we were still trying to deal with the Canada thing, yo. Yeah. But when we got on the microphone, shredded wheat, it was done. And that's how we earned our respect all across the world. Never mind just them sides, but everywhere. Like, if you look at the Stretch and Bobito, I think it's on Netflix there. You know, the movie that they made the other day. And if you look at the end credits,
sneakers or like
no, like about the Stretch and Bobito show.
Oh, okay. I never seen that.
What? Oh, Bridget, their movie is cold. Like, it's dope, because I mean, they have on there, like, the first time that like leaders of the new school ever freestyled on the radio, or like the first time Wu-Tang ever touched radio, like craziness like that. But what was dope is when you check the end credits and they're listing off MCs, and you see Shocklair's name come up and Socrates' name come up, because we used to go to all those places, bro, like in America, and we're pre-internet, so it's one of them ones where it's like, now if you don't do it on the net, like, it didn't happen. But that's kind of like a whole era, and it's interesting, again, and something I won't touch too tough, but it's kind of like a revisionist history, because if people knew the amount of things that the Manzam did in order for people to get to where we are at now, like, I don't blame them, because they just don't have any clue. But it's like, I remember we did this DJ Eclipse had this one college show, and and I remember we well, listen, we, like, those mans, them are the first. Me and Solitaire went on tour with Dilated Peoples, The Roots, all these different cats. But this is 98. 98. You understand what I'm saying? Hold on, stick a pin in that in the college radio thing. But like 98, when I came out when we had the Hustlin' EP. So when my joint Hustlin' came out and all them other joints, we were on tour with them, man. And I remember, like, the first day we did something called Roskilde Festival that I think is still going on right now. And we performed in front of like 10,000 people. And they had us go on first. Again, the Canadian disrespect. They're like, let's put the Canadians up front first. Yo, Bridget, let me show you something. By the end of the show, and it's, if you look at the back of the Hustlin' EP, that's where that picture comes from. Took off the shirts, and we said, yo, by the last song, everybody take off your shirts in this motherfucker. Yo, the place was weak. First day, we were the first ones on. Second show, it was us, then Dilated, then Roots. We were third from the last in one show, because we went out there and just
mashed down the place.
Killed the place. So again, this is over in Europe. Like, so never mind America. Like, this is over Odessa. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's what we were doing all around the world. Like, I remember coming out, going back to DJ Eclipse's show. I remember after we went and freestyled and did the interview or whatever, we came out, and I remember we seen these little youths, but we didn't even pay it no mind or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember the man was like, oh, yo, you guys met Junior Mafia? I was like, where did? They're like, yo, they just let, yo, Bridget, them man, they were like, all of them were this tall. Like, they all looked like they were 11 years old.
That's crazy.
But I didn't even realize, you know what I'm saying? Like, so them times, like, when all that was going on, when Junior Mafia was just popping off and Ray, like, the mans them were in the mix. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the same way that, like, that's why when I see a lot of these people, these mans them, they know, like, we are out there, be like, we weren't just... You know what I'm saying? Sending an email or like
putting in the work.
a commenting online
the
from
Yeah,
your bedroom.
exactly.
Like the mans them are over there, and you have to understand we didn't have no bread them times either.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have no bread. So to get over there was a thing. Like
movements.
you know what I'm saying? Straight up.
You ever meet Tupac?
No.
Okay.